Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you have arrived at lesson 15 in our Tangled Ribbon Flower series. Thank you so much for being with me today. Our pattern for today is something special. It is a new pattern, brand new pattern up on Tangle Patterns that is called Sutra. It is by Indian tangler Priya Sabhlok, and I hope I haven't murdered your name for Priya. And this is the same person who deconstructed the pattern Virya that we did back in the 100 Days project toward the end. And so as I was catching up on patterns today on Tangle Patterns, I ran into it and I thought, what a fun pattern. And then as I started to draw it, I realized that this is just like Virya in that you can embellish it, lots of ways. You can vary it lots of ways. You can have lots of fun with it. And I really recommend you guys check out the pattern art for it on tanglepatterns.com. All right, let's see where we got with this today. Sutra. One of the reasons I chose this tangle was because just like Virya that she did in our 100-day, or that we chose that she deconstructed in our 100-day project this year, this is very simple on the outside, and yet it has dozens and dozens of opportunities for embellishing and varying it. And so one of the reasons I chose it is because I think we can make it really dynamic, but it is very, very simple. So let me show you how it's done. This is a tangle of loops, and sutra means thread, and so this is supposed to look like little loopy threads, okay? The base element is done like this, and I'm drawing in a continuous line. You don't have to, but I think if you will practice it a couple of times, you will like it. It will work for you. And they don't all have to be exactly the same. You can make your loops big or small. Now, I will say that in the step out, her loops between these little elements do touch, and I have trouble getting that to happen, okay? But if you can touch them, that is awesome, all right? So the next step is to put a C shape connecting each of these bottom lines, and like we did in the Tangled Dancer, we're going to sort of alternate these up and down so that we end up with a wavy line, okay? Like this. And then we're going to aura on the inside of each of these bottom lines. And that will enhance that sort of wavy look, all right? Now, I think at this point, she inks this with a sparkle. I apologize if I get these steps turned around just a little bit. I try not to. But we'll get to the same place in the end, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so not my best work. I've got my PN in hand, and I'm used to using that 01 now. So it's faster, but also messier. Okay, like so. Now, up here in this area, again, in her step out, these touch together. Like this. Yeah. And so at this point, oh no, sorry, I got that wrong. Now you're going to add little echo lines here and here, coming off these loops, okay? Hopefully yours will be much better than mine. And it's okay if these touch. and it's okay if they don't. All right. Now it's a matter of doing some simple embellishing. So what she does in the step out is she inks in a little diamond shape by making an aura on the inside of this spot. Now again, on the step out, these touch, but I think this is going to work whether they touch or not, so I'm not real concerned about it. And then she does ink these, but of course they don't have to be inked, but it does give a really dynamic look. And I am rushing a bit, and my hand is shaking pretty badly today. So I beg your patience with me. And I will just leave these as is and not worry about them too much. Okay. And then the last step she does is she draws a large printemps in the center of each of these, and she has them sometimes quite narrow. I have trouble with narrow. Well, at least consistent narrow. And you just keep going until you have filled that space with your printemps. In this case, I'm not going to fit as many, but it's still going to work. So this is at its core, this is the tangle. Now, I did a lot of playing with this in my sketch pad this morning and discovered a few fun ideas that maybe we can play with. And I did want to say the reason I chose this was because as I looked at this tangle, I realized I started going, I wonder if I did this, or I wonder if I did this, how it would turn out. And when you're asking yourself those questions, or you're immediately having ideas as you look at a tangle, then you know it's a good one. Okay, and this is a good one. I think we're going to have lots and lots of fun with this. So, one of the first things I did was, because I'm considering using it in our ribbon flower project, I was interested to see if you could make this two-sided. So I could go down the middle, perhaps, of my ribbon. So what I did then was I turned it upside down, or 180 degrees, and I started at the tip here, and I made my loops, and I just ended right there at this spot. Now I'm going to see if I can make these touch, and again end right at that spot, like this. And that's probably a much closer version of the way it's supposed to be than my original. All right. So this worked out beautifully because I don't have to put in my extra aura lines. I've got this. I'm just going to use these bottom ones as my aura lines. So I've done that. Then you can do different things with this. One of the things on this that made me go, hey, I wonder if I did this, was instead of doing the echo lines the way they are in the step out, what if we did them all the way down the side like this, preferably without all the extra stuff, which is a much more natural inclination for me as a tangler, is to do this kind of a thing. It's very loopy like that, and I don't know how I feel about that, but it is a possibility. The other thing that I thought about was aura-ing the inside of this, and maybe doing some fun things in here. Now you could still put your printemps on the inside of this. You could also do another one. Well, I didn't quite get that even, did I? And then you could do something like picture frame type of a thing. Or you could check this. Simba, mommy's working. What's up? Oh, you need mommy to move stuff so you can get up here and sit on my feet. Simba, up. Good boy. All right. The feet are now warm and toasty. Okay. So this is another thing we could do in the center, and then you could put something completely different in here. You could do well, which goes, let's see if I can do this without messing it up. Do something like that. I think on the step out, she has a version or a variation that she has filled with tipple. And I think if I'm going to put a fill in here, what I'm going to want to do is put a little aura on the inside so that it doesn't mash up against the other elements. But that, again, is going to depend on what you have on either side, what you want to decide to do to that. What else could we do? Well, we could do something like this and bring that all the way down, and then we could ink it and put a little sparkle up top. Then we wouldn't have the overlapping lines. It would look like it was behind there. Okay, something like this. I forgot to turn my fan off again. Okay, what else? Come on, Cindy, you've got one more in you. So what I would want to do if I were going to tangle over here is I would want to go ahead and draw this in, but then maybe I could fill this with tipple. I could put these kind of radiating lines in here, like that. And I want to be thinking about things that I can do in our pattern that are going to leave me coloring opportunities. And the Petal idea is really good for that because we're going to be able to shade and highlight with those. What else? Now, this might be interesting if we followed through with that on each one. But I think that's a lot of inking that I don't necessarily want to do. I do want some inking in this because the inking is what brings the drama and the dynamics to it. However, if it's too much inking, then we lose the purpose of that beautiful background we've got. So, even this for me is a bit much, but if we, let's see, what else could we do here that would not be quite so overwhelming? Whoops. Well, we could do radiating lines the other way. We could do something like irradial in here, Tomas Padros's pattern irradial. We'd have to do a small version. And of course, I like the curvy versions of that and not the straight ones, but I'm not sure I can do it justice in this space. So that means it's probably not going to be a good choice for what we're doing. So something with lines, but that is not too ink heavy is probably what I'm going to want to go with. And I probably will sort of lean towards this printemps version because I think that works really well. And speaking of the printemps version, when we're doing shading on this, and I'll use my Verithins as I have been on the printemps, if you shade it thus, then you've got a nice area down the center for a highlight, and you've given this sort of a rounded quality, which is going to pop it up. Now, if you've got it all decorated in here, then your shading is going to be a completely different entity. Yes, you're going to have multiple areas of shading opportunities. of course, if you do something like this. So really your shading is going to depend on the pattern that you decide to use and in what ways that you are embellishing, because your shading is going to change depending on that. This is not a pattern that will have the same shading all the way around. It's really going to depend on how you choose to embellish. You can put, you know, extra down here if you do these radiating lines. You know, I don't know. You guys are smart. I know you can do this. And, you know, this is exactly like Virya in that it's a very simple pattern, very easy to draw, but the embellishing possibilities here are endless. And so you can truly make this look whatever way you want, and that to me is the essentials of a good tangle. So we're going to try this out on our final project and see what happens. Okay, so I have got several things to consider as I prepare to add this tangle into this ribbon. And those are, at least one of those things is, what orientation I want to use and how do I want to set that up. Now, in my head, I'm thinking do it straight across like this, and I think that's going to work very well. But my question is, do I want to, let's see if I can follow this logically through. This would be the top. And this is going to turn this way, and that would make the top on the bottom, okay? And so if the top is over here, and we turn this corner, no, that's wrong. Okay, so if the top is here, and we turn this corner and we're over here, then that should be right. Okay, so I can do it in a row down this way and make the directionality the same. Or I can do it across this way as planned, and I can set this up a little bit differently. And I'm very tempted to do that. I'm a little nervous, I won't lie. What I'm thinking is doing a right side up and an upside down, like a single dual element. Wait, okay, forget I said that. Anyway, so one element that has the top and the bottom, and then repeating that down here. I don't think so. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep it real and do the thing. I just don't think I can think that far. And so let's see if I can find an angle with which to draw this today where my knuckles will not be in the way. That would be so great for me to not be cringing at editing when I get it wrong. So that's true. Mari says I always cringe, and he'd be right about that. All right. One cautionary note in this is that you're not going to want to put the bottoms too close to the inner aura here, because we're going to be doing that up down thing. Now, there is another way that we might possibly do that. Let's see if I can. Bless you. Let me see if I can. Well, I could find something I could actually write on. What if we do this, here, let's turn this around. If we do this on a straight line, okay, and we draw our elements like this, yeah, then, but when we get to the curving, we have a problem, right? So we don't want to do this in this way. We want to leave enough of a gap here that we can draw that curved line in. So this is going to be a difficult thing for me. So what I think I'm going to do, just to be safe, since we're working on our final project and I don't want to goof it up, is I'm going to put a very light pencil line. See if I'm in frame. I am. And the camera's turned on, so I'm golden. And I'm going to put this right here so that I'm going to leave myself enough room for that bottom portion. Okay, well, I've got my pencil in hand. I'm going to do that here as well. Yep. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay. So now when I draw in my elements, I can do the tops as I wish to fit what I've got here, and I will just draw them on this penciled line and then add my curves in, and I'll have room for it, hopefully. Okay, so let's get started here. No knuckle in the way. All right. Okay, pencil line, Cindy. And I think I'm going to bump my top. I'm going to lift and reposition here so that I've got a comfortable hand. This is a very forgiving pattern. Your loops can be whatever size you want them to be. Your elements can be wonky or weird. It is still going to work. And again, it's one of my favorite kinds of patterns. Oops. Didn't quite get that over far enough, did I? And I'm going to change them up as I go and just make them as fun as I want to. And if you just make it fit the available room, and that's where we're going to end up there. Okay, now I'm going to go back through here. Actually, let me go ahead and draw this over here on this direction first. Make sure the knuckle's out of the way. Okay, so and oh no, well, oops, I'm really struggling with this one. Okay, Cindy, calm down. Because I proved to myself earlier, they don't have to be perfect. So if one of them is not perfect, it's all right. I need to chill out. Let's see. That's about there again. I'll just let that go off. All right. Now, let's add the bottoms in our wavy line. So this should be, I don't know what I'm doing there besides making things worse. So I'm just going to leave it alone. Under, over, Oh, that's not so bad. Except that's supposed to go down, but I'm not going to worry about it. And this one, let's see, down, up, down. All right. This one should be much easier. Do this one down and this one up. It's easier, but I'm not doing as good a job, am I? Now I can hear my ceiling fan. Oh my goodness. And Simba snoring, because that's what he likes to do. And when you're playing with this, you could make these thinner or thicker. Just depends. Probably not on the same one, but of course that's probably how mine will turn out. So we'll just see. Let's keep a positive attitude today. I'll probably have to come back through here and work this ink again. I'm having trouble seeing it with this light today. So I know it's not as neat and nice as I like to do yet. All right. Fun looking. All right. Take some deep breaths if the inking is making you nuts. Remember, you should try to enjoy or at least zen out when you're inking. I'm just going to make this like this and pretend. All right. I'm recording again, baby. it's a matter of embellishing and playing around and having some fun. One of the first things I'm going to do, since I really made a mess on my bottom line, so I'm going to take my brown PN and I'm going to go over, you can see how badly I'm shaking today, so I'm really having trouble with this line. So I'm going to take this brown PN and run along this bottom line, sort of define it, and hopefully cover any stray pen marks I've got running around in there. Okay, I think that's nicer, and I'm going to shift this then and go along here. I was just inking in that little corner right there that you can't see. This little corner right here. All right, now let's zoom out just a tiny bit. Okay, so I'm going to run along this line here. Oops. Maybe I shouldn't. It's going to be okay, though. Whatever happens, it's going to be okay. All right. Now, let me make sure I switch back, and I'm going to decide what I want to do for this. Now, not a huge fan of the, and this is not a complaint, I'm just saying as my preference, it's not my preference to do the echo lines the way they are at the top in the step out. I don't know why, and I know that it's supposed to sort of give that thread look to it. I don't know. I just don't know. So I think I'm going to leave that for last, and I'm going to do something here in all of these spaces in here. So I think in these areas, on these, in the center of these, then I'm going to do Printemps. And let me just start with that and move out from there. So that's going to go in these sort of squarish shapes here in the center. And I'm going to put it in fairly lightly, if I can get it in there. The more lightly I push on my pen, well, oh man, I just put that in the wrong space, didn't I? Wow. Okay, so let me stop here for just a second and think this through. Okay, let me go ahead and put it in the spaces where it belongs and leave that for now. I may ink in there, I may do something else, I may just leave it. I don't know yet. So now I can barely fit anything in here, so it's just going to be a hint. Okay, and I'm not going to worry about it very much. And right here, Cindy, hit the squares. There, that one wasn't bad. Okay, and skipping. I'm trying to keep these rather narrow, like she did in the step out. I really did like that look. I think we're going to have some fun with shading with color on this. And I'm not putting in any sparkles on this for a reason. Well, the reason is I get messy and they don't look right. So sometimes if I'm going to have an opportunity to come in here with white charcoal or a white Prismacolor and dab in some highlights there, then that's going to be just as good or better than my sparkles. So I think I'm just going to leave that for you guys with a steadier hand than I. So just like that. Okay. You know, these last, I spoke too soon. I was going to say these last few printemps didn't turn out too badly, but then I started in. I'm going to jinx myself. Okay, already these are fun, aren't they? So let's keep going. The minute I saw this, I thought, oh, that's going to be so much fun to play with, and then I realized, you know, that would be perfect for a ribbon flower too, so yay. I hadn't been on Tangle Patterns in a few days, which I'm not trolling it quite so heavily since the 100 Days project is over. But yeah, so I had some patterns to catch up on, and as I was looking through them, this was one of the last ones. So way to go, Priya. These are awesome patterns, and I have to say that you have managed to capture something with your patterns that many patterns do not, and that is the possibilities. You open a realm of possibilities, and that is the beautiful thing about tangling and patterns like this. Now, down here, we're going to be doing a lot of shading, and all I need to really do is do something like this and call it done. All right. So we're done. All right, printemps. Let's not get distracted, because we know what happens to Cindy when she gets distracted. And I don't think that's something we want to do today. Want to thank Diane Jameson. My little boy got her birthday package today. He thinks it's pretty awesome that it came all the way from Canada. You're the best, Diane. Thank you so much, girl, for thinking about my little one. It's not every kid that gets an out-of-country gift for his birthday. So thank you so much for the thought and care and love that went into that gift. So I'm going to do this like this and just do some radiating sort of half circles out. I think that'll do. And yeah, this is the last one. Then I'm back to my dilemma. Over there. Over there. Sorry. Had a military moment there. Okay. So I'm definitely gonna aura in here. And I think I really didn't want to ink these. Maybe ink every other one. Well, I'm definitely going to have to ink this. This is not what I wanted, because this completely obliterates my lines down on the bottom. I may come in here with my jelly roll and draw in a little aura on the inside here that would take the place of this. And I think that might work and solve my issue here. So I'm going to leave that and let that ink pool dry really well. And then we'll make that decision here in a minute. Now, it's okay what I did here, and I'll fix this up so it's not quite so different. But I want to continue to add these auras in. As you can see, it's really important that what you do here separates from the neighboring pieces. And since this printemps doesn't have an aura to separate it, then we definitely want an aura separating our elements here, okay? Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to continue to make these inner, sorry for the interruptions. Let's continue to make the inner auras here, and then I'm going to decide here in just a second what I want to do. I'm very seriously considering just putting some line weight here and letting myself do some color on the inside of this. And I think in this instance, for what we're doing, this might work. I could also put some radiating lines in here and still color in there. That would also work. But I'm getting my best, most enjoyable results, I think, when I play to the colors in the background. I really enjoyed doing that. I'm just so stoked with the way Poke Root turned out. And so we will see. So let me add some in here and make sure my knuckle's not in the way again. And let's see if I can do these sideways here. All right, two more spots. Well, now I definitely need to do something with the loops. So what could I do? I could do something really dynamic and add some lines to those. Let's try that. Like this, and then they're not so empty. Although, this is another place that I could do a lot of, I could do contouring with my colored pencils. Let's do that. Let's do that and see what we end up with. And then if I hate it, I can always erase my Verithin and go back and do something different. But let's leave this line-wise as it is for now. I still may add in my extra lines here, and that could also be a coloring opportunity. So the first thing I want to do is lift out these stray pencil lines. Normally, if I'm going to tangle over it, I don't bother with that because it's not necessary. It'll just disappear into it. But if I am going to use color over it, then it muddies up. So I'm going to leave this mess for now, and I'm going to focus on coloring. I'm going to take out, and these bottoms right here, these little oval shapes down at the bottom where I have left these are also areas where I can add color and contouring with color. So let me lift out the graphite here so I don't get any muddiness in my color. And then we will see what happens. We'll take a piece of it, play around, and see what happens. I'm getting very close to going ahead and aura-ing these as they are in the step out. I just haven't quite decided, so I want to leave myself an opportunity there if I should decide to go that direction. All right. So I'm going to start in here where it's sort of a light blue. And I'm going to come in with my light cerulean. And remember, there is no reason that you can't do this on the right if you're left-handed or whatever you want to do. I always tend to do my shading to the left because that way I don't get confused. And so this is my sort of go-to direction. If you want to change that up and do it on the right, you can. What you want is consistency. Now on these, I think I'm going to allow myself the ability to blend in more colors, since this is not only blue, but it has hints of green. Also has some purplish hints in there, and depending on where I'm at, loop-wise. So, and see, already these are a lot more interesting like this. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of shifting my focus here from tangling to coloring. And so, you know, when you get it drawn out, think about, okay, if this were in a coloring book, what do I think would look good there? How could I make this really cool and dynamic? You know, how can I use my colors to truly enhance this? Now this is shading more towards the green. So I'm going to switch to my aquamarine. That's the true green. I'm going to need that too. Where's my aquamarine? There it is. Okay. And so I'm going to bring in some of this greenish color. Remember, you want to keep your pencils pretty sharp. And so I'm just really picking one side and sort of contouring with the line on that. Now, got some hints of green here. So I might just add just a hint down at the bottom, maybe, to sort of have a bit of a color gradient. And again, I can always come through here, which I most definitely will, with my charcoal pencil and really brighten up the tops of these. Let's just try this out to see how it goes. If I can get this to stroke on. Well, it's not much of a difference there, is it? And I may need to blend that pencil out first. Well, and if I want something even brighter than what I'm getting here, which isn't much, it's pretty subtle, then I may come back in with a jelly roll and just put a dab in there and use my water brush to sort of make that a highlighted part. We'll see. We'll see. I guess you can tell a little bit with that. Now for the center of these, my other couple of pencils here. Here we go. Now the other thing I can do here is do some sort of that type of shading that we do with the cylindrical types of things, and put a hint of a shadow on the outside of this. That will even more enhance that feeling of coming up off the paper. And we can do this along this line on each side. Just a slight darkness there. And of course I'm using my blue violet for this. Really can't do that one. Just put a bit of color in there. So we can do that, and that also makes it interesting, more interesting. Now, in the center of these, I have several options. Where's my 01? I can put in some line weight on one side, which I will probably do. probably almost certainly, since I'm doing it now. And I'll try to do that on one side only, even though I will have the need to do it all the way around. But it's much more dynamic if you can just keep it to one side. It gives you much more of a beveled, sort of a cut look. Like this. And what else? I think I want to go over this line here on the outside of the printemps. Just sort of re-emphasize it so it doesn't get lost. I'm still thinking about adding those aura lines, but I haven't decided what form I want them to be yet. Well, what form do I want them to be? I think I'm gonna just stick with the step out here and see what I can do. I can definitely make them sort of delicate and thin. Well, since I'm dropping my pen, I'm not sure how delicate and thin we're going to get here. Something like this. That does give a bit of interest. Okay, all right. So now, and I'll go through here and do it all, but I thought for today we could do this portion together, and then maybe everyone can work on their project to finish up this one on their own, and that will give me a chance to prepare for the next thing, which is the center. I don't mean to shortchange you guys at all. I think I'm going to put some peacock blue. Whoops. Shaking like a leaf today. I'm just going to put it to, again, on the left, where I have thickened my lines a bit. This is a pretty vibrant color, so I think it'll work well in here. And it has blues and greens in it, so that's going to work. Okay. Let's get out my blending, whatever I'm using today. It's always a surprise. And see if we can blend this a little bit. Soften it all up. I'll definitely be coming in here and adding a lot more color. I'm never happy with it. Till it's just bright and dynamic. I might keep working on this. Let's see where we're at. 30 minutes already. All right. So, now I'm just doing this off the cuff. You don't have to do anything the way I do it. You can do your very own thing and have fun with it. So I think down here I'm going to put in this Parma Violet, and I'm going to leave a space for a highlight right there where I did the sparkle on the arid line here. Like that. Yes. That way their positions will match up and it'll make sense to the eye. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And I've managed to use all of the colors in the palette, but not made any of it just too crazy. So, yeah. All right, the last thing I really want to do is add some shading with my blue violet. I'm wondering, and again, I can lift that out if I want. I was thinking of inking it, but I almost think I like color in there better. I can't decide though. And again, I can lift this out. Just gonna go with it for now. I don't know. Anyway, what I was going to do, get distracted easily, you guys know this. I'm going to drop this blue violet in here right along the edges of the Petal. Okay, we're going to have a highlight right down the center. You know, in retrospect, I wish I had thought that whole thing through, but I think it's going to work out okay anyway. And I may want to change this color out. I may want to add some like peacock blue in here. I think a little contrast with what the other stuff that's going on is going to be good. This is going to be a shadow right here anyway, all the way up and down, cast by this other petal. And of course, we'll come in with our black Verithin and really darken that here. This will be the same thing. Ooh, that's pretty when all those colors get blended together. Blues and purples and greens. Oh my. Let's do, whoops, I forgot one. Let's do some finishing touches and see what we think. All right, so mono zero eraser. Let me clean up any place here that might have gotten muddied with color. Of course, most of that is from the background. All right, and let's see. Let's shift this over just a little bit. That's pretty good. All right, then we want to do down the center. And now, let's see what we can do with our charcoal. Well, that just seemed to work better than it was up on the top. Well, that's nice. So we can do the same thing here. And just sort of highlight that. They're not exactly even, but that'll be all right. And I'm going to add again a highlight right here. Blend. I want my peacock blue again. I really love how vibrant this is. And we'll probably add some more green. These colors tend to fade out pretty quickly. I may still ink these little ribbons here. I haven't quite decided. Now, where's that aquamarine? I want to add the green tones back in. And my true green down on the bottoms. Notice I'm turning my pencil to keep the point that's down as sharp as possible. So I turn it every time I use it, get a fresh side. Okay. I think I need some extra oomph in here. And see, I just went right over the other color. And these are really nice for blending. At least I think so. Now the color is very transparent. That's not like a Prismacolor Premier or even a Polychromos pencil. Any of you guys that are really loaded want to get me a really nice set of pencils, get me those Caran I don't know how to say it. Somebody that knows. They're made in Geneva, Switzerland. They're it's called Luminance, I think. They're just gorgeous pencils, and they're so pricey, but I really want to try them. I could get a small set for like $200. I'm like, that's craziness. All right. I'm just kidding about that. Don't worry about it. Just one of those dream things, you know, wish list things. Maybe someday I'll be rich and that'll happen for me. But it's not going to be today, and I'm not going to worry about it because I don't care about richness. As long as I have art supplies, I am happy. So, okay, so what do you guys think? Do you think this would be better if I inked in these little ribbony arid lines, echoed lines? I'm really tempted to do that for the sake of the dynamicness. So we're going to give it a try, see what happens. And this ink went right on over the pencil, so that's not a problem. If you have problem with that, now that it will not work with another kind of pencil. It will not work with a Prismacolor for sure, and not as well with the Polychromos, because they have that binding agent that transfers itself onto the paper. Now, if you wanted to blend those out with blending solution and then go over them with a pen, you shouldn't have any problem with that. So, yes, no, what do you think? I think yes, so I'm going to do it. And if your pen starts giving you trouble, make sure you clean the nib off gently on a piece of paper. You don't want to press down. That will force whatever is on the paper up into the barrel of your pen. And that's why they stop working, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking of adding one more color here. And I'm trying to decide which one. I think I'm going to put some peacock blue over this blue violet here on the edges and give it sort of a different dynamic. Make it a little bit more color rich. We'll still have the depth of the blue violet, but we'll have a little bit of a color blend here. Now, I may have overworked this pattern, meaning I may have taken it a little too far as embellishing and stuff, but I don't care. I'm having a lot of fun, and that's what I care about. It is certainly colorful. Let's zoom out here, give you a little bit better perspective. So I can't really tell I can't really see the camera because of the light, but it looks like to me that it is popped up off the page here and here in these loops. So I think it looks pretty good. So this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to treat the rest of this. And I'm sorry, we really don't have time to do the whole thing together, but I will post, I will leave the camera on while I'm working on it, at least for a little bit. I've got a couple of other member videos ready to go, like the coloring on this one. I have the full length without the sped up. And so I just need to get those uploaded for you guys. And I haven't forgotten you. Members, I also have not forgotten about part 2 of your Zia creation. I just have not had time for it yet. And I'm very close to scheduling a time for my tireless tanglers to have their live stream. I want to shift that to Zoom, but I'm going to need emails from all of you guys so that I can send you the Zoom links before we can do that. So I'll do the first one on a live stream for you guys, and then we'll see what happens from there. So get in touch with me if you're in that tier, and or leave me a comment here or whatever, and I will get in touch with you. Okay? All right, guys, this is where I'm going to leave you today. I'm going to see you in the next video, and I can't wait to get started on the center of this so that we can see how it's going to turn out. All right? So thanks for being with me today, and I'm going to see you next time.